Hello everybody, my name is Ethos, and welcome back to Warframe in a Nutshell. We're going to be talking about Equinox today. Now Equinox is a really tricky Warframe to pick up because Equinox is one of the few Warframes you actually need to build basically two whole frames to actually be able to play her. Now, Equinox has a unique ability, which her passive is health orbs generate a little energy, and energy orbs restore a little bit of health. But beyond that, she actually has a hidden passive, where depending on her energy color, if it's more of a lighter color, she gets to start in day form. If it's more of a darker color, she starts out at night form when she starts a mission. Now, as you can see, I have no mods on Equinox whatsoever, or on the Oxtella. And the Oxtella I'm using, not the Oxtella, but the Astella I'm using because of its high status chance and decent slash damage, which is actually something that Equinox runs really, really well with. I am going to change one quick thing about her appearance quick, getting rid of this Sayadana, because I don't like it. And we'll just run at that. So, we're going to have a lot to cover here, because really, she has two whole different kits based on which form she is in. So I'm in day mode currently. You change between your day and night mode by using your first ability. Now your first ability has two different sets. If you are switching into night form, you get shields and armor. And if you switch into day form, you get damage and speed, which I will showcase here in a second. So switching into night form, she now has, look at that, got a little extra shields, and then she lost it. When I switch into day form, well, these are level 100, I didn't realize that. When I switch into day form, I have a different set of powers, a little bit extra speed on me, and of course I'll have extra damage. So I'm going to change these back to level 30s, because otherwise we were going to have a very bad test. So let's actually kill all. Wait, did I? Yeah, I did. Okay. Making sure I killed them all. Otherwise, it will be a bad test, like I said. So, I didn't simulate? Oh, that's annoying. Okay. So yeah, her switch is kind of, well, his switch, its switch, is kind of a unique mechanic, as well as its passive. Now, the second ability actually has some utility, based on which form you're in once again. Now, in night form, it puts targets to sleep. In day form, they make them more vulnerable to damage. And so, when you put things to sleep, they have a wake-up threshold. If you deal 50% of their life in one go, they wake up. And the damage probability is an increase of 50%. Now, there's also apparently a speed increase, which I don't really see. I don't really see where that's coming into. But perhaps it's something that happens when day form occurs. So, in day form, I'll switch to night form here. And then I will... There you go. And these guys are all put to sleep. And once they get to a certain amount of damage, they will wake up. Sorry, I love this shotgun. It's one of my favorite shotguns. Otherwise, it will last about 20 seconds. Bye. Again, the Astella is kind of an interesting weapon just in general to be using, but it's one of my favorite weapons in the game, really. I just don't use it as often as I would like. We'll resimulate them. Alright. Then if I go back to day form, I'll show you how quickly. See, now they have a whole different mechanic that's showing up on them. And as you can see, this weapon now cuts through them a lot faster. So the day form effect is pretty useful, especially for people who like to run missions by themselves, and it is affected by power range. So getting yourself a higher range affects more targets, affects things in a larger scope, and so on and so forth. The next ability in the chain is Pacify and Provoke. Now, a lot of people actually have seen this one before. In night form, it reduces the damage inflicted by nearby enemies, so enemies within its radius deal less damage. But in day form, it increases the ability strength of nearby allies, including yourself. So what you'll see when this happens is you'll see these lines appear. Now, kind of an interesting thing about this, if I kill an enemy, okay, if I glass boop his butt, oh wait, now this is okay, I don't have the modifier. So there's actually an augment that increases the amount that you gain based on kills made in its vicinity. So, kind of a cool skill when enemies die around you, when you have it active. It usually gives you see, this gives you energy per power. This one gives you energy per enemy. So basically, as you use your abilities, it drains energy from you. Where the other one gains energy drain based on the number of enemies around you. So kind of a cool set of skills, really. Like I said, Equinox has one of the most diverse set of kits because of what she can do. Now, we'll resimulate everybody. Pop that back in there, reload that. Alright, now, her last ability, its last ability is a very cool one. A lot of people run Equinox just because it's a push it and leave it kind of thing. So in night form, enemies are healed with each nearby enemy killed, as I was mentioning before. In day form, however... What? That's weird. Thought I had no mods on this. I'll have to take a look at that. But in day form, enemies are bled and then associated with then you can activate it again to deal an incredible amount of damage. And if you look at the stats here, the radius is 18 meters, health multiplier, which is an important, shield on kill, damage multiplier, energy per second is 3.5. So I'll kind of show you what that all means here. Hit my fourth ability. Enemies start to become slashed. As enemies become slashed, or I kill them with a weapon that has slash damage, or just enemies die from the slash damage itself, it adds to this counter up in the top right corner that you can see. See? Now what that means, that's a build-up that I can release. And it wipes out any nearby enemies. So when I approach a new group of enemies, they are afflicted by slash damage. And one of them needs to die. And then I can activate it to release that slash damage in an AoE. Now, of course, as most people know, slash damage is considered the most dangerous and most powerful type of damage because it goes through armor and through health and just basically goes straight life, and it's ridiculous. This is what makes Equinox one of the few frames you'll see played in, well, pretty much every mission, and especially against the Corpus, as it will just slash right through their health. Now, as you can see, even fighting level 30s is kind of tricky for Equinox. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick build on Equinox to kind of show you what exactly she can do with an economy build. So she comes with a dash polarity. I don't know if this is because I polarized it that way or otherwise. But normal people will run either energy siphon on her or shield disruption or something that kind of just gives her an extra bit of boost. And then they'll go, of course, to the Matter Eye, Intensify, Continuity, those two, of course, because you want to have that reduced duration and you want to have that increased duration and efficiency because she's a channel ability. And then you want to have... She's almost a bit like Ember in the way that she kind of builds for all different situations. So here you want to run whatever you can. Again, bigger if you have it, otherwise focus on your vitality as always. Here you want to get yourself some flow for the extra energy. You can run yourself Equilibrium was actually really helpful for her sometimes, just as a heads up. Otherwise, you want to do things like, once again, Streamline, Stretch, Augur Reach, Augur Message. This kind of gives you a basic balance build, and if you have, of course, this slot opened, which if you're like most people, you love Equinox, you'll open that slot up. The thing that you really want to throw in there is either Cunning Drift for more range, or you want to throw Power Drift for more power strength. Now, I am one of those people that likes the extra bit of range. I always like range, so I run the range. And now I'll show you the difference between the set before and the set now. So firstly, I'll activate Passive and Pro, and if you notice, instead of 20%, it's at 26%. And that's because with more power strength, you get more power ability. Now, if I activate my fourth ability, enemies are going to take a lot more damage. They won't instantly die, as usual, but I can kill one and then kill all of them. A very different circumstance than what normally happens with Equinox, for sure. But if you also notice, my range is much higher. Equinox's big benefit is she gains constantly increasing damage amount. The more enemies that either die from her abilities or that are hurt from or killed by other people using guns or whatnot, it adds to her damage and eventually makes her even more powerful. Now, when you look at Equinox's augments, because she has a couple of them, the three that I always focus on is Duality, which gives her a second half breakaway and at maximum was 300% bonus damage. It's crazy strong. You also have Peaceful Provocation, which converts damage done to allies into an aura that slows enemies by 40%, or converts damage done into enemies into up to 15% extra ability strength. So this is something you can run in lieu of one of your other mods, and it just makes things really, really interesting. Now, another one is Calm and Frenzy, which killing an affected enemy causes the effect to spread to enemies within 5 meters for 100% of the remaining duration. It's a great, and it is affected by power range. The more power range you have along with this, you can actually go through missions with Equinox, hit the first person with something, kill them with a melee attack, and all of a sudden, or a gun, and all of a sudden, like, the whole room is now sleeped. And you can just keep on going. If enemies have a nice concentration, you can actually just keep on going throughout the entire room or the entire area, just wiping them all out. Now, I will omit two things. First, I'm using an aura that works with my Warframe. And two, of course, I have a catalyst or a reactor in this Warframe, as always. So Peaceful Provocation, though, if I activate it now with my energy, 26% still. So we'll simulate everyone I can. Activate my fourth ability. Now to 30%, 36%. 39%. Just keep on loading these people's heads. 42%. I can activate that, reactivate it. It's going to deal more damage now. And it's actually going to, if you notice, it's actually strong enough now that it's actually increasing its own damage by killing level 30 enemies. So it's one of those augments that a lot of people run almost as a necessity because of how much it increases her strength. So that's Equinox in a nutshell. If you want to know where to get her, I will show you that in just a moment. So we'll go and leave the Simulacrum, go to the Orbiter. I'll show you all of her. I think she has one additional augment, which I believe I can find in the Suda.
Do you see anything interesting?
Maybe. Not in Suda? Then it must be in Arbiters of Hexus.
Perhaps these will show you the path.
Energy transfer. So energy transfer allows 100% of the charge is conserved when switching forms. So normally if you build up 10,000 damage, slash damage with your main effect, when you're in day form and you switch over to your night effect, at any time you lose all that power. Now with this mod, you actually maintain that. So if you want to go from doing a ton of damage to doing a ton of healing, you can do that, or you can just maintain your power between the switch states in case you want to give yourself a little bit of extra survivability through sleeping enemies, or the little bit extra armor and shields that get granted back and forth. So it lets you kind of play with your skills a little bit more freely without losing the power that main gets. Beyond that, of course, we still have, like I said, Duality, Calm, Frenzy, and Peaceful Provocation. Now, Equinox is picked up in one of the most annoying boss fights as far as I'm concerned in the world, and that's Titania.
You must be feeling guilty. Need to
Til Regor, you have to defeat him, and you have to get day and night form systems, day and night form chassis, and day and night form neuropics before you can actually build Equinox. And as I'll show you once again, in the market is where you pick up her major blueprint.
Tenno, there's a time-limited mission.
So if I look at her blueprint,
check navigation.
you have to build her night aspect and her day aspect. And in order to do that, I'm pretty sure you actually just do that by putting them all together. I'm not 100% sure anymore. It's been so long since I've actually built Equinox, I'm not 100% sure, but I think once you've acquired all the parts, you also get the blueprint for the day and night form aspects from Til Regor as well. So there are, what does that make it, 8 parts that you have to pick up from Til Regor. So you're going to be running him quite a bit in order to pick up all the stuff for Equinox. Granted, she's a very powerful frame, or it's a very powerful frame, but on the other kind, it's one of those frames, it's like, do I really want to go through that kind of effort? The answer in the end is yes. It's good for your MR, it's also very good for kind of playing with a new skill set, and she's one of the better frames for just casually meandering through low-level missions and wiping out everything if you want to help low-level players. So once again, everybody, that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you didn't like it, comment. Let me know somehow what you would like me to improve. So until then, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for watching.